Richmond make their mark in Essendon's jocks.
Melbourne beat the Lions to emerge as Premiership favourites.
You said liars? And the Eagles are gonna win the flag.
This is the DrewFooty Show.
Hey, long road, took a tumble down this black hole. Stuck in Sunday League, but I'm on level.
Hello, you bonkers, and welcome back to another episode of the DrewFooty Show. You know the deal by now. Go follow the Instagram, DrewFooty_ if you want to be involved on the show next week. It's on screen. Go follow it right now. Trying to hit 5k subs by the end of June, and it's looking likely, Jesse. But still, this is how many people aren't subscribed, and what do we call them?
Pigs.
Filthy pigs.
Filthy pigs.
Subscribe if you are enjoying the content. Anyway, let's get into it. We don't have a photo of the bloke of the week this week, Jesse, but I just wanted to give the bloke of the week to a subscriber named Callum. So we were out at halftime at the Dreamtime game on Optus, looking over the city, thinking of how we're going to capture this city. It's going to be ours one day, buddy.
Clout.
And the big bloke called Callum comes over. Never met a subscriber this old, but it's a good thing because it's like we appeal to different demographics and that. And he comes over and has his bunger with us and spins a good yarn. So Callum, shout out to you if you're watching. You're a great bloke, and for that you get bloke of the week, Callum. So good job.
Nice to meet you, Callum.
I didn't get any bloke of the week sent to me, so make sure you're sending them in as you see them. Just DM the DrewFooty_ Instagram account. First game of the round was Melbourne versus Brisbane. A huge statement win for Melbourne, but we're not going to talk about Melbourne because we know fuck all about them, mate. We're going to call up the big dog, Caden MacDonald, and get some real inside knowledge. Caden MacDonald, where is your lid, mate? It's not on. It is off. It's gone. How we doing?
Yeah, no, going well, boys. It's funny that the in America the FBI are bringing out a UFO sort of sighting package and sort of showing that there's been sightings of UFOs over the last few years. But I think that's the D's lid because it's absolutely off. After beating the Lions, we've beaten the Bulldogs, the Swans, the Cats, the Tigers. The only knock on us is that we haven't beaten anyone above us. But there is no one above us, so we're going well, and in unfamiliar territory, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, this was the biggest result of the season, I think, beating the Lions up in Western Sydney on Friday night. Half-time, Jesse joined into the stream. He tipped the Lions, I tipped the D's. I'm not going to dox him too hard, because it was just a bit of banter, but he comes into the stream and he's like, oh, why would you tip the Lions? But the point I'm trying to make here is, I had full faith in Melbourne at half-time, even when they were down, to come back and win that game. What is it like having faith in Melbourne after years of disappointment?
Yeah, well, I had zero faith. I was with Jesse, to be honest. I thought, here we go. We're going to miss the 8 from this point of the season. We're going to fall off. Something's gone terribly wrong. But it was impressive to see the flick of the switch, to come out at half-time and do some different things and get the game back on our terms, especially against the Lions. Like, they are a quality outfit. You know, I still have doubts, even though I do joke about the lid being off. I look at the stretch home, and we got the Bulldogs again, we got the power, we got the Cats. So I know we're not out of the woods yet, but it's just been so exciting. It's been so much fun the start of this season, and I just can't believe what I'm witnessing, and it's unbelievable to see what they're building.
In that first half, Clayton Oliver didn't really have too much of an impact, and it sort of showed with how little of the ball you had, and the inside 50 entries weren't as clean as they were in the second half. But Oliver fired up in the second half, and you guys won.
I was just curious to hear from you, Caden, because there's been a lot of talk this year about Petrarca having an obvious career best season, no debating that. But over the last few weeks, people are more and more on the Clayton Oliver bandwagon. I just want to know your thoughts. How close is Oliver to being better than Petrarca? Is it pretty even? Do you think Petrarca's clearly better? What's the go?
Who would you miss most if they weren't in the side?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, it's really tough. Like Kane Corn said a couple of weeks ago, this is the D's sort of Judd and Kerr. And it is true, they are a dynamic duo. It's weird because Clayton Oliver's been getting 28 plus touches since he debuted, and he's been super, super consistent. But his ability to add his foot skills to his arsenal and now a little bit of power out of the stoppage this season has been so impressive. So he has gone to another level, even though his standards were quite high. But on the contrary, Petrarca sort of took a little while to get going. But you just feel like Petrarca's X factors a little bit more than Oliver. Clayton Oliver gets tagged every week by all 17 coaches. So, I've got a lot of mates who go, that makes no sense. Petrarca's clearly the more damaging ones, but for 17 other coaches to tag the red-headed one every week, it probably speaks volumes about how important he is to us. And I think if you watched the second half against Adelaide, he was unbelievable and almost dragged us over the line when we were playing terribly. And I think if you watch, the last couple of weeks, he's gone to another level. So I haven't really answered. I'll say Oliver is probably a little bit more important.
A player who I didn't think put a foot wrong the other day was Trent Rivers. He's just growing into this league like an absolute star. This could be a complete wrong comparison, but I just get Luke Hodge vibes from Trent Rivers, to be honest, like off the half-back line. He's just as solid as they come. Doesn't put a foot wrong, so composed on the ball, and just opens the game up from the back half. Mouth-watering player for you, MacDonald.
Well, it's quite funny. When he first got drafted, he was this running half backman, sort of Jaden Hunt type for us that I thought would be doing the role that Salem does. But over the last 12 months, so when he first came in, he was sort of that role. He's just doubled down on his defensive skills, which sort of makes sense. When you're in the back line, you got to be accountable. But he's intercepting and spoiling, and he covers for other people. Like if May and Lever go up in the contest and it falls to ground, he's covering their opponents. He's been unbelievably good defensively. He's probably gone under the radar with Jackson and Pickett from that draft for us, but he's been super, super consistent. And if he went out of our side, I'm not sure we got someone that would be as good as him to come in, and it speaks volumes to a 19-year-old.
I'm going to put this down now, Caden, as the title of the video. Can Melbourne win their first AFL Premiership this year?
Yeah, I believe they can. I believe from what I've witnessed, they can. And for the first time in my life, I've gone to bed and genuinely could see the vision of some of them on the podium, which has never been even in my foresight at all. I've started to believe. So I think they are a massive chance. And I don't know. It's crazy. Crazy times.
The lid is off. But that's all we've got time for, MacDonald. Thank you very much for coming on the Drew Footy Show, second appearance. And hopefully the D's win the flag. I'm rooting for you. I'm a D's fan. So, yeah, always been on the D's. And, my heart beats true for the red and the blue.
No, shut up. Thanks for having me.
Swans vs St Kilda, Saturday morning kick-off at the SCG. A game that you would have expected Sydney to win on the form of the season, but St Kilda actually showed up for once. They played with some integrity. But the game was lost by the foot of one player, Jack Higgins, who has been kicking snags left, right and centre for the Saints. I think he's been up there for their leading goal kicker for most of the season. 1 goal, 6. I think he had 3 or 4 shots on goal in the last quarter. Rushed his set shots. Literally lost them the game, the Saints. So that's a bit stinky for the Saints, and a very hard loss to take after getting smacked some weeks against average sides, not showing up. You show up against a good side and you literally just lose from a couple bad kicks. Very hard one to take.
You have to also do spare a thought for St Kilda here, who lost this home game, because this was originally meant to be at Marvel, and you have to think that could have cost them the game here. But mind you, if Jack Higgins had just kicked straight, they would have won the game anyway. So yeah, unfortunate.
We've got a comment here from Heath Sheehan, and he says, "Does Jack Missy Higgins still have brain damage?" Probably.
Oh, that's in bad taste. It's Sheehan, by the way, not Sheehan. He's not from India.
Adelaide versus Collingwood was after this, and I just had a stinking feeling that Collingwood were going to win this game. We talked about last week how Mitchy Ryan asked, is there any positives? And I said they've been competitive the last few weeks. They just haven't been able to get wins purely from putting score on the board. They get Jamie Elliott in back this week after, I think he had about 9 rounds out. His last game was round 2. He kicked 4 in 2 rounds, comes back and kicks 6 against the Crows, and is the difference maker for Collingwood. Literally wins the game off his own boot. Scott Pendlebury was huge as well, but Jamie Elliott was the difference maker. It's what Collingwood have been crying out for, someone that can kick goals straight. Sort of feeling that De Goey void when he hasn't been in form.
Yeah, that's so true. We've talked about how their scoring power is definitely their Achilles heel at the moment. So adding an Elliott to at least take the heat off some of their other forwards, that was always going to help a little bit. But we didn't expect 4 goals in a quarter and then 6 for a game. That's outstanding.
We got another comment here from Jizzle Neal. Without Elliott, Pies don't win this game. So is it more you stop Elliott, you stop the Pies?
I mean, it would have helped in this game. Yeah, that's true. I mean, do people actually think Jamie Elliott's more dangerous than De Goey? I still think De Goey is the one I'm more worried about, but it does at least add a different sort of dynamic to their forward line. There's an extra forward to think about, whereas previously it's like, okay, De Goey, my check. Oh, Mason Cox. Oh, no.
Jordan McCreary.
It's Bo McCreary. Jordan McCreary.
Nah, rats. Oh, yeah, he's a YouTuber. Fuck. Jamie Elliott, though, coming back into the side has been vital for the win. And you know what? I'll give Collingwood winners of the week this week. Hard-fought win.
Yeah.
They've scrapped for a win, and they've earned it. So, winners of the week, Collingwood. Good job.
The morale boost as much as anything. They hadn't been rewarded for good form. It's been a horrible year. I'm sure a lot of their fans will be quite grateful that they got the 4 points.
We went to the Saturday night game, Dreamtime Showdown, as Jesse likes to call it, at Optus Stadium. Richmond were in the lead for most of this game, but didn't really have as much of the ball. Darcy Parish had most of it, to be honest.
It didn't feel like they were controlling proceedings. It felt like Essendon just couldn't quite get reward for a little while there.
Yeah, didn't really have clean entries, the Bombers. But in the fourth quarter, it sort of all clicked for the Bombers at the start. They got 4 quick goals out of the blocks when they were 3 goals down to temporarily put them ahead. I think where Essendon really lacked this game, as you said, was a key forward to go to, but Anthony MacDonald, Tippermoody, he's been right up there in the Coleman in terms of small forwards this season. Probably been in All-Australian form in that small forward position, but he just didn't show up. As you said, he's been sleeping out there. I know it's stream time. Yeah, Tippermoody, where you expect him to show up on the big stage, he just didn't. He got cancelled out of this game. I think that was a huge factor that played into the hands of Richmond. I haven't watched much of Essendon this season, so I was very keen to see some of these people that the Bombers fans are talking about. So Nick Cox, I was keeping an eye out for him, and he was unreal. Just an athletic specimen, long, lanky, Spider-Man sort of looking geezer.
You wouldn't shut up the whole game about how much you love Cox, and then some guy in the front row gave us his number. It was hell weird.
Yeah, it's fucking strange, hey?
Yeah, Nick Cox is a funny one where you just look at him and you're like, there is no way you are built for AFL. He
Yeah.
looks like he's never been to the gym in his life. Like, even me at 18, I was broader than he is, but it just goes... I actually reckon he's pretty skinny, but he's also like 2 meters tall and an absolute athletic beast. So credit to him for, like, he hunts the footy, he plays with a lot of heart, he's athletic, he's skillful. Yeah, he's an absolute gun, and I would have assumed he'd get the Rising Star nod this week, and probably the favourite to win it, to be honest.
Nick Hines been talked about a lot as well this season.
Good.
And you could see there were passages where Nick Cox and Hines linked up, and it started clicking for Essendon. I need to put some respect on Nick Hines' name after not putting him in my most surprising players this season.
He was just damaging with his runs. He's obviously one of the fastest players in the AFL probably, but he just opened up the play for Essendon, and they look way more damaging when they used him as an avenue as well.
The Tigers held their composure under the pressure of the Bombers, and in the last quarter it was the Shy Bolton show. The goals he kicked were out of this fucking world, bro.
Stinky. So good.
He literally spun out of fucking trouble twice, just about falling over, snaps it on his opposite foot, and it flies through the goals. It wasn't like he just dribbled over the line. He fucking... Oh, man.
That second sidestep where he's just he's on a 45-degree angle and he still spins.
Yeah.
I don't know how athletically he did that. It was insane. Yeah.
Mesmerising. He will be an actual star of the game come a few years if he's not already. He's taken the mark of the year already. If that gets beaten, that's fucking wrong, and potentially...
I think Jack Riewoldt will get it.
I like Shays. To add to that, a goal of the year contender, and just his impact on every game is huge as well. So genuine star of the future. Richmond are playing at Optus again next week against West Coast. How do you see that game going?
Not well, Drewzy. Not well. With our injuries, form line's a little bit better now. It's going to be wet. Plays into Richmond's hands. Yeah, not confident at all.
Richmond, if you wanted to see any of our next round's tips, make sure you go check out Just the Tips on the DrewFooty YouTube channel for all of next round's games analysis. Sunday was kicked off with Carlton versus West Coast. This game was pretty close every time I checked throughout the game. Liam Ryan looked like he was just on one. Had one of those games where he was just unstoppable.
Pupils were huge. Big
specky and a couple flashy goals as well from Liam Ryan. That's all I really took from this game. Eagles got the win. But what can you tell us about this game, Jesse, from the West Coast point of view?
Yeah, Liam Ryan was fantastic. He obviously took a couple of weeks to come back from his injury, and you can see the difference with the Eagles going forward when Liam Ryan's playing well and when he's not playing well. And also with Kennedy out, he played literally full forward in the way that Lacroix used to back when we were shithouse. And he's a really hard matchup for opponents because if you put a tall on him, then he's good at ground level and he's too fast for you. And if you put a small on him, he's going to outmark you in the air as well.
Yeah.
So, he's having a killer season. Overall, for the Eagles, the narrative is a really, really good win. The injuries are probably the worst in the league, I have to say, in terms of the key players. Shepherd gets concussed. I know Harry Mackay was concussed as well, but to be honest, the Eagles just looked a little bit better all day, and it was a big sort of character-building win, I think.
Yeah, nice. First win there since 1997 or something?
99, yeah.
99. Yeah. On the other side, Carlton. Just off the bat, you're getting losers of the week. So, there you go. Cop that, Carlton. They're 0-7 against top 8 sides. Mm-hmm. And they're probably one of the best sides outside of the top 8 in terms of potential. Haven't won against any side in the top 8. Which, as a Carlton fan, you hate to see, really. What do you make of Carlton?
Look, they didn't play badly. But for me, I agree that they're losers of the week on the basis that the Eagles were ripe for the picking here. I mean, Carlton beat Essendon, and Essendon came to Perth and beat us, so there's no reason why Carlton wouldn't be thinking, yes, the Eagles are gettable here. Yes, I think the Eagles played well, good intensity, good players lifted, and I know that Mackay did get concussed, which would have hurt, but I think the Eagles were still just shading them in most areas of the game all day, and I just think, when Carlton's season was on the line just as much as West Coast was, to fall short, it's not a good look, and they'll be bitter.
And the last game of the round, Dockers always seem to be the last game of the round, but we played the Western Bullfrogs at home, and what would you think I would say about this game, Jesse? Off the ranty little bitch that I usually am, what would you say? Do your best impression of what I would say here.
I love the D's, the way they set up defensively.
We're talking about the Dockers, buddy.
Alright. You usually go in on the Dockers when they don't show heart, or they play a lot worse than expected. But I don't think you could say that about this game. I think they could have had their chances to win if not for 4 ridiculous, stupid injuries, which is just filthy. So I wouldn't be surprised if you said not the worst result in the world, but obviously you never like to see your team lose at home.
Pretty much exactly spot on, yeah.
Nice.
I mean, last week against Port Adelaide, that first quarter cost us. We weren't putting score on the board this week either in the first quarter, but we were there. We weren't just going to fold over to the pressure that the Bulldogs came with. The Bulldogs' ball movement is as smooth as Jesse's moves on the Metro's dance floor.
Nice.
They move that ball so nice, right into the arse of 18-year-olds. But yeah, Sean Darcy goes down, Fife goes down, Cox goes down.
Yeah, dude.
And Griffin Logue down as well. Taverner out before the game. I mean, if you're talking about injuries affecting a result, when Dockers are behind by 8 points going into three-quarter time and we lose this game, I mean, yeah, says it all really. Aaron Norton, a player that I absolutely despise. The way he dominated that 50 was unreal, just taking great contested marks, coming out of nowhere, but terrible set shot. Terrible bloke.
Terrible mullet.
Caleb Daniel was very impactful. Obviously, Bontempelli had an unreal game, kicked some great goals, and Liberatore as well was really good to watch. Just good to watch the Bulldogs in the flesh, to be honest, because they are a great side and they'll stack up. They'll probably win a premiership in the next few years. And yeah, as I said, the Dockers were only 8 points down at three-quarter time, and then we lost all of our rotations, and they just ran us to the ground. In the end.
First win at Optus as well for the Dogs.
I'm not going to beat up on the boys this week. I think they put in a valiant effort. So thanks for showing some heart, Freo. You dogs. That's going to wrap up this episode of the Drew Footy Show. If you have been enjoying the Drew Footy Show and any of my content, please consider subscribing. Trying to hit 5k by the end of June. Also, go check out Just the Tips on the True Footy YouTube channel for all of next round's analysis. Thanks for coming on, Jesse.
Thank you, my queen.
We'll see you next week.
See you, buddies.